Nancy and Monica, having addressed a week-long walking tour of Ireland and Wales' historic past, were comfortably seated aboard an Irish ferry for their journey to the port city of Holyhead, Scotland. The ferry terminal and the train station sharing the same location. Because of their late arrival, the next available train was at 4:25 in the morning. Nancy, Monica, and another couple from Hong Kong, making a decision to wait in the mostly unoccupied station. The hour-and-a-half journey to Chester somewhat uneventful for the tired travelers, discovering the Westminster Hotel but a short walk from the station. The two deciding, after some needed sleep, to walk the walls of Chester. The defensive wall construction was started by the Romans in 70 AD. Following the Roman occupation came the ruling of the Vikings, followed by the Norman conquest in the 12th century, extending the walls to form a complete circuit of the city. The 2-mile wall providing another walking history, viewing the Morgan Mount, a gun emplacement platform added to the wall in 1845, continuing to the Bonewall-Dest-Horns Tower section of the wall that was added in the 12th century. Then the East Gate, having replacing the initial structure in 1768. The wrought iron clock tower was added in 1899 to celebrate the Diamond Jubilee of Queen Victoria. The historic water tower on the wall was built in 1322, and at one time stood near the River Dee, but due to silting, now stands some 200 yards distance. The old Dee River Bridge across the river was built during the Roman era, but rebuilt in 1387. In 1779 the Chester Canal opened to instill commerce, connecting the River Dee to the town of Nantwich. Before calling it a day, the two viewing the Chester Castle, initially built in 1070, but fortified in the 12th century. On their return, entering the Bear and Billet, its name symbolizing a bear tied to a billet, or stake. The structure built in 1664 as a townhouse for the Earl of Shrewsbury, the building becoming and remaining an inn and pub since the 18th century. Nancy and Monica again on a journey, a 3.5 hour bus ride to Glasgow, arriving at 2:30 in the afternoon, checking in at the Charing Cross, located within walking distance of the train station and theatre. Their evening plans having been already arranged, but a late afternoon, hop-on, hop-off bus sightseeing tour of Glasgow was in order. Nancy's impression of Glasgow was, it was clean and safe, nothing like a lot of traditional big cities. The two attending an evening King's Theatre production of My Fair Lady, taking notice of the interior beauty of the theatre, and the professionalism of the play. An overcast morning walk to the Glasgow train station, the two adventurers boarding for a 40-minute ride to Stirling, looking forward to an exploration of the Stirling Castle. The castle was one of many that were used by Scottish royal residents, including Mary Queen of Scots in 1542. Scottish legend: William Wallace defeated an English army at the Battle of Stirling Bridge in September 1297, then later Caz captured in Rob Royston, near Glasgow, and handed over to King Edward I of England, who had him hanged, quartered, for high treason and crimes. The two travelers partaking of fish and chips while waiting for the train for their return to Glasgow and the 7:30 Theatre Royal presentation of The Mikado. It wasn't planned, but because of the late hour, they went directly to theatre from the train station, still dressed in jeans and sweats, not exactly copacetic for a Gilbert and Sullivan operetta, both agreeing the play was first class. The morning found Nancy and Monica again on a train, this time a 30-minute ride to Linlithgow, Monica's friends Anne and Bill Watts meeting them at the station, the two spending the morning at the couple's residence. The afternoon found them on their way to Edinburgh, the capital of Scotland, Bill having taken them to the train station. The two subscribing to a tour, starting with the Edinburgh Castle, built by King David I on a rocky summit overlook, in 1103, entering the large grounds with a host of several buildings, discovering again, the tour was a walk through history. Viewing Sir William Wallace and Robert Bruce, two of Scotland's most celebrated historical figures, standing guard outside the castle, they could feel the ambience of the past as they ventured on the historic grounds. A brief drive down to what is known as the Royal Mile, viewing a millennium of historic structure. Nancy couldn't resist. She had to see Greyfriars Bobby's Fountain. As the story goes, Bobby was a Skye Terrier belonging to John Grey, who worked for the Edinburgh City Police, as a night watchman. When John Grey died, he was buried in Greyfriars Kirkland, a Franciscan order of friars cemetery. Bobby having become locally known and would spend the rest of his life sitting on his master's grave. A year later, the English philanthropist Lady Burdett Coutts was so moved by the story, she had a drinking fountain topped with Bobby's statue erected opposite the entrance to the churchyard cemetery to commemorate him. The Palace of Holyrood House was a home for Scottish royalty, located on the opposite end of the Royal Mile from the Edinburgh Castle. It was the reigning monarch's official residence when in Edinburgh. The palace was built between 1671 and 1678, and currently Queen Elizabeth II spends 1 week at Holyrood during the summer, at which time investitures and audiences are held. The inquisitive found that only the historic apartments of Mary Queen of Scots and the state function rooms could be visited, because the palace was an active governing parliamentary edifice. It was getting late and beginning to sprinkle, the two making a return to the esplanade of Edinburgh Castle to experience the Edinburgh military tattoo. The term tattoo derives from a 17th century Dutch phrase, "Do den tap toe." Turn off the tap, a musical signal to tavern owners each night, played by a regiment's corps of drums, to turn off the taps of their ale kegs, so that the soldiers would ire to their billeted lodgings at a reasonable hour. The bands in the presentation are from the British Armed Forces, along with drill and display teams. The event takes place every weekday evening and twice on Saturdays in the month of August, and has never been cancelled due to inclement weather. Nancy and Monica enjoying the late-night performance but not the rain, thankful that Linlithgow was but a short ride back. Arriving, giving Bill and Anne a call, having accepted their invitation to spend the night, the two envisaging what the morrow would bring.